how the hell is Anthony Weiner still alive? What do you mean by that? Well, when you go through the list of people that have been close to Hillary Clinton and the Clintons and the death pool, this is not a conspiracy. You got the names of Robert Williams, Conway LeBleu, Todd McKeon. It's 46 names.
Have one of your producers call up one of those families and tell them if they want to be listed in one of these conspiracy podcasts.
You're so sweet for saying that. You're so sweet for playing.
But Hillary is just like almost an android.
What do you mean by that?
She's not like, can you imagine talking with her about like human pain and like stuff that you're going through? Absolutely, like it wouldn't
register.
Exactly. You would never be able to reach her heart.
When Patrick Bet-David and Lindy Li team up, the result is less a debate and more a political demolition. Bet-David cuts through the flimsy packaging of manufactured leadership with sharp precision, while Li lands blows with commentary that exposes every contradiction. Their combined firepower doesn't just question a legacy, it dismantles it, leaving Hillary Clinton's image battered, her narrative shredded, and her credibility hanging by the thinnest thread.
What was Hillary like? I hear she's a sweetheart.
Really?
That's
no,
obviously I'm being.
Oh my God!
I just wanted to see a reaction.
That's one person that's not a sweetheart. That's not a sweetheart.
What was she like?
She's very cynical and jaded.
Cynical or jaded. So that means at one point she wasn't cynical and jaded.
I probably wasn't alive then. But,
so tell me what you mean by cynical and jaded.
Very practiced, very choreographed, not genuine. Like Biden, say what you want about him, but he's genuine. He is. I mean, at least with me, like on a human level. He's not faking it. I mean, he faked his presidency, but he's not faking his human emotions.
Hillary Clinton has been roasted countless times before, but in the hands of Patrick Bet-David and Lindy Li, the takedown is something far more brutal. She doesn't enter as a seasoned stateswoman or feminist icon. She stumbles in as the embodiment of political déjà vu, the woman who never stops running but never truly wins, the candidate forever rehearsing a victory speech that never came. Hillary is the politician who turned inevitability into an Olympic-level joke.
They pretend to hate Trump, but it's just a gag. It's just a show. It's a charade. You saw Obama yucking it up with him at someone's funeral, at Jimmy Carter's funeral. Democrats pretend to hate Trump, but at the end of the day, they crave him. They're obsessed with him. They need him for their fundraising machine. They need him for their raison d'etre. Without Trump, they would have no rudder. They would be even worse off than they are. Trump is their lodestar. It's their reason for existence. They're obsessed with the man.
So they're not trying to protect themselves.
They have no other reason to exist at this point because their party is just this. It's just their party basically.
Patrick Bet-David wastes no time exposing Hillary's fixation on power. For decades, she has clung to the political stage, reinventing herself each election cycle as if America suffers from collective amnesia. Lawyer, First Lady, Senator, Secretary of State, presidential candidate, memoirist, podcaster. Her resume reads less like a career and more like a desperate LinkedIn page curated by someone refusing to log off. Bet-David tears into that hunger for relevance, painting her as the politician.
The House Oversight Committee issued subpoenas Tuesday to a slew of former Attorney General and FBI Directors Clintons for their testimony case involving sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. The subpoena seeking depositions from former Justice Department officials were issued after Republicans and Democrats on a House Oversight Subcommittee approved measures to authorize the demands last month as part of an effort for Congress to obtain more information.
And who cannot see that the curtain has already fallen. Lindy Li joins in with a scalpel of her own, slicing into Hillary's endless excuses for failure. When Hillary loses, it is never her fault. It was sexism. It was Russia. It was the FBI. It was Bernie. It was the Electoral College. It was a YouTube video. Li shows how Hillary built an empire of scapegoats, a mythology of villains responsible for her inability to connect with.
So he lied to the American people. Let's not forget that this is the President of the United States lying, deceiving the American people on a matter of national security. This is huge.
Well, if a politician is talking, they're probably lying.
Yeah, that's true. And you know what I think is the silence is completely damning from the mainstream media. I haven't heard a single peep other than from Fox News.
Voters. The joke practically writes itself. The only person Hillary hasn't blamed for her failures is herself. And then there's the infamous email scandal, the gift that keeps on roasting. Patrick Bet-David skewers her for treating national security like a personal Gmail account. The woman who wanted to be remembered as a stateswoman instead left a digital trail that reads like a cybersecurity PSA. Bet-David points out the absurdity. Hillary was supposed to be the most prepared candidate in modern history, yet she couldn't grasp the...
Not him. People love Bill Clinton. They fear her. Do I know 100%? No. But if 74, whatever the number is, if 50 people around you, if 10 people around you keep committing suicide, I'm a little bit concerned. I watched this documentary. 400 people that this nurse was looking at, they made a documentary, whatever they call this guy, the movie came out, the Good Nurse. 400 people died because they're taking a drug. This guy eventually went to jail. The difference between her is she controls all these political organizations.
Concept of classified information. It's like wanting to be CEO of a Fortune 500 company but forgetting not to leave the safe wide open. Lindy Li doesn't let the hypocrisy slide. Hillary built her brand on accountability and transparency, yet spent her career stonewalling investigations, dodging subpoenas, and choreographing non-answers. Li exposes the contradiction. Hillary markets herself as the grown-up in the room, the pragmatic leader, the seasoned adult. Yet the record shows a politician whose relationship with truth is as flexible as her positions on trade deals. The roast burns hotter when Bet-David dismantles her public persona, pointing out how she has always struggled with authenticity, a problem she tries to fix by reinventing herself into whatever focus group suggests. One moment she's a Midwestern grandmother baking cookies. The next, she's chugging beer in a dive bar. Then she's adopting a southern drawl in a church. Bet-David shows how these performances...
Oh, even back then. Oh, I didn't know that. Even back then, one person brought the flag. Interesting. Hillary looks very uncomfortable, the head bobbing. Listen, say what you want about Hillary Clinton. Very attractive lady. Just, she could have been a mob boss.
She said the U.S. intelligence community knew
that we
Russia,
didn't need the investigation.
Exactly, that there was no tangible impact on the election. This is the first time we're hearing it. Not only that, they knew under the Obama administration, who actually, he was the one going out there saying that Russia...
is always backfire because the audience smells the phoniness a mile away. Her greatest flaw isn't that she lies, it's that she's terrible at pretending she doesn't. Li amplifies the takedown by highlighting Hillary's opportunistic feminism. She brands herself a champion for women, yet her record shows otherwise. When convenient, she defended her husband against women who accused him of misconduct. When expedient, she leaned on gender as a shield against criticism. Li savages that inconsistency, showing how Hillary used feminism not as a cause but as a costume, slipping it on and off whenever it served her ambition. Then comes Benghazi, another albatross she has never shaken. Bet-David cuts into her disastrous handling of it, exposing the arrogance and incompetence that led to catastrophe. She treated the nomination as a coronation and the election as a formality. Li roasts her for confusing inevitability with...
What were they
out of
telling your mom?
bounds.
And how soon was it? After the election? Like,
A
when
week or
was
two.
it?
When it wasn't at that point, I was just asking questions. Like, it wasn't even. I was like, "What happened to the $2.5 billion we raised? Why did we spend it on Beyonce? Why did we spend 2.5? Why did we spend millions of dollars on Oprah?" Like legitimate questions that needed to be answered. But the amount of hate I got for that was just overwhelming. And the final straw, the moment that I knew that I needed to leave, was actually around Christmas Eve, when the chair of the party, he's the biggest clown that the Democratic Party has ever, like, honestly, in recent history, I can't think of a more incompetent boob than this man.
Electability, reminding everyone Hillary wasn't robbed, she was rejected. The American people didn't miss their chance at history. They dodged their chance at catastrophe. Patrick Bet-David dives into the farce of Hillary's campaign strategies. The millions spent, the armies of consultants, the endless data analytics, and yet she ignored entire swaths of the country. Her arrogance convinced her she didn't need to show up in states that later decided the election. Bet-David skewers her for embodying everything people hate about politics: elitism, detachment, and the smug belief that voters existed only to validate her destiny. When the conversation turns to her relationship with truth, the roast intensifies. Bet-David highlights the decades-long trail of scandals, half-truths, and evasions that follow her like a shadow. From Whitewater to cattle futures, from emails to Wall Street speeches, Hillary built her career on bending reality. Bet-David paints her as the Houdini of accountability, Every time scandal looms, she wriggles out only to land in another. Lindy Li sharpens the knife by exposing her selective morality. She lectured the public on ethics, yet her family foundation took money from regimes with appalling human rights records. She claimed to be the voice of the people, yet pocketed millions in...
You were Hillary Clinton's CFO in the campaign, right?
It's part of my history.
Were you? Yes or no?
In 2016.
Did you facilitate the payment for the Steele dossier since you were CFO of the Hillary Clinton campaign?
Sir.
Yes or no?
Sir.
Yes or no?
That was not...
You're under oath, Chairman Gensler. Yes or no?
I know. It was not something I was aware of.
I yield back the rest of my time. Thank you.
You know he knows, right? And Byron Donalds is a G, the way he handles...
Speaking fees from banks she pretended to oppose. Li roasts her for turning politics into pay-to-play, showing how public service was little more than a cover for personal enrichment. Then comes the Russia narrative, which Hillary clung to as an excuse for her loss. Bet-David skewers the irony of a woman who branded herself the most competent candidate, yet blamed her defeat on Facebook memes. For a supposed master of politics, she reduced herself to the equivalent of an aunt forwarding conspiracy theories on WhatsApp. Bet-David calls it what it is, the coping mechanism of someone who refuses to accept that voters simply didn't like her. Lindy Li isn't finished. She points out how Hillary, despite losing, still hovers over the Democratic Party like a ghost. Every election cycle, whispers of another Clinton comeback emerge, as if America is trapped in a sequel no one wants.
Number 7 is Hillary Clinton. You know what? You think she wants Kamala Harris to be her first female president? Than me, it should have been me, Hillary, not Kamala. Who is Kamala? Imagine dinner, nobody's around. It's just her and Bill, whatever, in their pajamas. I would assume they're wearing pajamas. I don't want to visualize, but come back to me. Whatever they're doing, can you imagine? Can you imagine if, who is she? Look at the way she answers. Over me, Bill? Over me, Bill? I should have been it. I'm glad she didn't win. I am so sorry here, Kamala. We voted for you, but these people are ridiculous. I feel like they did the same thing they did to you that they did in 2016 to me, and we should have won. Girl, I got your back. Thank God she didn't win. That's kind of how I visualize having the dinner with.
The humiliation isn't just in the defeat. It's in losing to the very candidate her party deemed unelectable. Bet-David doesn't sugarcoat it. Her loss wasn't an accident. It was a referendum on her. By the time the roast nears its end, Hillary's entire legacy lies in ruins. Patrick Bet-David and Lindy Li strip away the polished speeches, the staged optics, the endless excuses. What remains is a politician defined not by victories but by failures, not by inspiration but by entitlement. Hillary wanted to be remembered as a trailblazer. In their hands, she is remembered as a cautionary tale of ambition unmoored from reality. And the most devastating part of the roast is the laughter it provokes. She isn't dismantled with anger, she's dismantled with humor. The jokes write themselves, the hypocrisy begs to be mocked, and the contradictions collapse under their own weight. Bet-David and Li don't just destroy Hillary Clinton, they reveal her as the punchline she spent her life trying not to become. The roast doesn't stop there.
These Epstein files, do you have an opinion at all? Hey, you know, it's going to come out. No, it's not going to come out. Hey, this is what's going on. No, that's what's going on. How closely are you following that, and what do you know about it?
I just want to say the fact that the DNC elevated Bill Clinton as one of the keynote speakers at the convention and that they had him running around Georgia, around the East Coast campaigning for Kamala Harris, disgusting. It was political
enthusiasm was manufactured, the applause often delayed, and the energy so flat that even her most loyal supporters struggled to stay awake. Bet-David skewers her for mistaking monotony for seriousness, as if voters were supposed to equate boredom with wisdom. Lindy Li hammers this further, pointing out how Hillary has always tried to compensate for her vacuum of charisma by surrounding herself with Hollywood celebrities. From star-studded fundraisers to celebrity endorsements, her campaigns leaned heavily on actors and musicians to inject life into a political brand that was otherwise dead on arrival. Li roasts her for outsourcing personality, showing how she tried to borrow coolness by proximity rather than earn it. The result was a campaign that looked more like an awards show than a movement, and voters saw right through it. Then comes the Clinton Foundation, her financial Achilles heel. Bet-David tears into the scandal-ridden charity that blurred the line between
I think a part of it is just being attacked so often over the decades, and also her thirst for power. Her pursuit of power was her raison d'etre. Like, it's the thing that animated her soul. She needed it. And you could tell, like, her 2016 campaign was so stilted and so emotionless. That's why Bernie Sanders caught fire. Because at least he was real. Like, I hate that communist socialist shit, but at least...
Philanthropy and pay-to-play politics. The irony isn't lost. She claimed she wanted to drain corruption from politics, yet ended up swimming in it. To him, the Clinton Foundation wasn't a charity at all. It was a cover for influence peddling wrapped in ribbon-cutting ceremonies. Lindy Li reminds everyone of the unforgettable campaign gaffes that cemented Hillary's disconnect from ordinary people. The infamous basket of deplorables remark, for instance, became her defining moment. Li skewers her for dismissing millions of Americans with one sneer, showing how her disdain for voters slipped through the polished talking points. It wasn't just a mistake, it was the mask falling. Hillary revealed what she truly thought of the people she wanted to govern, and that arrogance cost her everything. The roast sharpens when Bet-David contrasts her obsession with historical significance against her actual record. By the end, they have reduced her to a cautionary tale in every dimension. She is the politician who mistook inevitability for popularity, the feminist who used feminism as a prop, the leader who preached transparency while hiding everything.